Hey ladies, this is Mocha Mommy here bringing you another video, and in this video I just would like to go over a couple of classy clapbacks, okay? So classy clapbacks are just ways where, sometimes you don't always have to have fighting words. Sometimes you don't even have to have the last word, but you can always use meaningful words to convey your point. So first I'd like to kind of address a situation, excuse the background noise ladies, I'm cleaning, with a coworker who was talking about the Little Mermaid remake. So she was saying how, I'm not racist, but I just feel that it's not right for Disney to mess with a classic, and why can't they come up with original content? And I was interjected, I'm like, well, honestly, I think you're being very disingenuous, because if you really think about it, if I was Disney, I wouldn't make any original content. Right now in theaters, Disney's on its 5th installation of Thor. Disney's largest grossing movie, was Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. And that was during a pandemic. That movie made $2 billion. So if I was Disney, I wouldn't make original content either. Well, that's Disney Marvel, and that's different. I'm like, I don't think it's different at all. Because all over, Hollywood is redoing nostalgia pieces, and they're doing very well. Like, think about it. There's been over 50 years of James Bond. And I'm a fan of the franchise. So there's been over 50 years of James Bond. Some of the #1 streaming shows on Netflix have been Cobra Kai and Fuller House. The #1 streaming show on Netflix is Stranger Things, which is, yes, it's original, but at the same time, it's nostalgia content. Nostalgia content and remakes have been extremely lucrative for Hollywood. And for you to say that it's not right to mess with classics, I disagree with you. And that's why the Disney Corporation redid it. And the reality is, I would believe you more if you had the same amount of smoke for Lily James as Cinderella or Emma Watson as Belle from Beauty and the Beast. I believe you, but I don't believe you. I just really believe that you don't think that certain people have the level of talent and professionalism that can warrant them for a prominent role or a part or position. So she's like, no, I don't think that at all. I don't think that at all. I said, I do, because the reality is this girl's been with the Disney franchise since 2012. Okay, she was on Radio Disney, Austin and Ally. She's had, and let's be honest, of all the Disney kids, think about Demi Lovato and think about Miley Cyrus. Would any of them be able to walk back into the Disney Corporation at age 21 with a reputation intact enough to be a princess? Right? But this young lady has managed to keep her nose clean. Right? And I'm not saying that you're a racist. I would never call you the R word. I said the R word. I didn't say racist. I would never call you the R word. But I do definitely believe that you're disingenuous with this whole justice for Jodie Benson. No one said justice for Adam West when Robert Pattinson played Batman, or justice for Christopher Reeves when they put Henry Cavill as Superman. Never saw any of that. So don't talk about some justice for Jodie Benson and her legacy. I don't believe you at all. And I'm not calling you the R word, but I'm saying if it walks like a duck and quacks like a duck, and I had to call housekeeping because your feathers are molting. That's all I'm saying. And everybody was like, ooh, ooh, right? Because she has that problem anyway. She has a problem with me, period. And, well, anyway, but I'm just saying that's kind of how I clap back, you know what I mean, at her. So as far as clapbacks, I wouldn't even call this a clapback, but I feel as if there is a need for us as Black women in this space to discuss financial and cultural literacy. And I got that from the comments section of Samantha Cooker. Okay, so this is going to be like a classy clapback too. Well, I don't even want to say clapback, but just, I know that there needs to be better information given out there. So basically on her community tab, there was a Black couple who was getting married, who had asked for their wedding gifts to be in the form of cash so that they could afford a down payment for their home. And somewhere in the comments section, someone had written like, well, that's something that he should have had together before he even decided to get married. And I'm saying with housing prices around $400,000 and interest rates for mortgages around 7%, I think you're very, very within your right to ask for cash for a wedding gift. Because listen, even very well-off people are struggling right now. I mean, I want you to think about it. I work with physicians, okay? And these physicians earn an average of $350 an hour. So with some of our newer physicians that have just been brought on, okay, they have great salaries, but at the same time, they know that their student loans are going to be due. Their student loans are going to be due with a higher interest rate that we've seen in the last 40 years. And that $10,000 that Joe Biden is offering, number one, they're not even going to be eligible for it because they make too much. And number two, when you have student loans in the six figures, those payments are going to easily top $1,200, $1,300 a month. And can they afford it? Yes, but it also stops physicians from doing what they normally do, which is invest, which is save up for being private practice, do things like secure their financial future by buying real estate or buying real estate. Another thing they do, like they do like a lot of stocks and investments. They also do a lot of things so they can go into private practice for themselves, or just even traveling, or anything that they want to do is going to be a lot more challenging right now with these high interest rates. So even qualifying for a mortgage for some of them is going to be extremely difficult because of their debt to income ratio. And they won't be able to make a significant dent in it at this point in time because of those high interest rates. So many of them have been asking me about the contract agencies I've been working with the federal government as far as the VA is concerned, that may offer some kind of student loan reprieve or repayment. They've also been asking me a lot about my past experience with urgent cares or 24-hour urgent cares clinics, because they often pay pretty high rates for hourly labor, especially if you do an off shift a few times a month. So a lot of them have been asking me about it. And these are not guys who struggle for money, but they just understand that in order for them to prepare for their financial future, they might need to earn a little bit more. They might need to tighten their belts a little bit. They know they don't want to be in Austin's high overpriced rental market, and that the prices are falsely inflated simply because of the shortage of available apartment and rental space. But at the same time, to enter the buyer's market right now is a challenge with these high interest rates for mortgage and the high interest rates they're going to be paying on their student loans. So I think that now the interest rates are higher. So they say things like buyers right now qualify for $100,000 less than they did just 7 or 8 months ago. Okay? And that's a big deal with housing prices being this expensive. So I think even well-to-do couples are feeling the reality of the recession. So I don't think there's anything wrong with a couple wanting money for a down payment for a home. In fact, I mean, growing up in New York, the people in the J community, y'all know I'm talking about the faith ethnic group that's name starts with a J. They've been doing that, no matter if it's a recession or not, high interest rates or not, because they understand that a paid down mortgage, a bigger down payment, would lead to wealth building in the future, because that's one less thing they have to worry about. So I think more black people should be doing it. I think more of every people should be doing it. And now definitely is the time. I also think that people are really under the misconception that people who make six figures don't have money problems. And I will honestly say that that's not the case at all. I mean, I live in a pretty nice neighborhood. My kids go to private school, but our home renovation has really dragged on simply because the price of labor and raw materials. It just has been an expenditure that is over 3 times what was originally estimated for when we bought this house in 2018. Okay, so that's from no fault of our own, and we're 2 people with 2 jobs with really good salaries. So again, I mean, I remember asking a question. I used my second YouTube channel to do it, to a really, really accomplished gardener. I'll put a clip here. Did he ever have any issues with supply chain or labor shortages when it comes to his home renovation? Because he has a whole channel where he kind of renovated his homestead. And he said absolutely. And this guy's a millionaire. And he's felt it. He's felt the crunch of what it costs to renovate nowadays. And this guy's a millionaire. So again, ladies, I'm telling you that people who earn six figures, their problems might look a little bit different, but they still have problems nonetheless. I'll even tell you about one of my neighbors. One of my neighbors, he's from California, worked for a James Beard Award winning chef. So he's been a chef almost his whole life, extremely accomplished. He was on the Food Network once, in fact. Extremely accomplished chef. So the quarantine hits, and this is a guy who does a lot of things right. He had 3 months' salary saved up. Lived in a $600,000 house down the street from here. Very nice neighborhood. You know, very nice side of the same neighborhood. But yeah, he ended up struggling during the quarantine. He had 3 months' salary saved up, but the quarantine was over a year. And the types of restaurants he worked in didn't really do things like DoorDash. You know, he's used to working in Michelin star rated high-end dining, and that really was nothing that people were ordering out, because a lot of times people are paying for atmosphere at that price range. So even he had to go out and get a catering job in the university system. He did some consulting and some recipe creations for food companies. So he didn't, you know, he wasn't out on the street as if somebody who had no skill or had limited skills. He still did do pretty well. His wife was also like in the restaurant distribution side, and she struggled. But luckily, her distribution experience, she was able to work, I think, in like supply chain logistics for something else, you know, because that's just a very lucrative, in-demand field right now. So if you're in anything in supply chain logistics, you're going to be in demand. So, you know, she had to be the primary breadwinner for a while. So again, just don't always think that people who earn six figures are immune from problems of the economy. Because really accomplished people, you know, think of how real estate agents are probably going to be struggling right now, because these increased interest rates and increased money for housing, and the fact that Wall Street is buying up a lot of inventory, that's hurting a lot of them right now. Commercial real estate, people working from home, people in commercial real estate, and those are usually high earners too. So don't think that, now even though they have other marketable skills that can take them to another level, that transition takes time, and that transition can be problematic financially and emotionally. Okay, and I think that's kind of where femininity can come in, right? And be a power play, being that good listener, hearing what people are saying and having compassion for their problems. Because a lot of people say, like, oh, you know, you have money, or you're a doctor, how could you have financial problems? But just me being a good listener, being an astute listener for some of these young physicians who are starting out at a time where it's really difficult to be a physician right now, and just being a good listener has helped a lot. And expressing that compassion, expressing compassion for, you know, the guys who are in IT who have been working remotely and feel isolated. That's kind of where you ladies really need to see opportunity, right? This whole femininity thing, you know, you talk about you want to rest in your femininity and blah, blah, blah. I think that being an active listener and having some kind of compassion at this time, as very successful men make those transitions and things like that, and being a good listener, I think is going to be a hot commodity coming up. in the dating market or in the friendship market or in the networking market. Having that kind of compassion and a good listening ear, because as they come out of those challenges and difficult problems, now you have an ally. Because certainly they will. Like, they certainly have the tenacity, the skill, and a lot of times the network to come out of it. But having a compassionate ear in these times, being aware of it, can definitely benefit you. What I will also say, clapbacks, I guess, or replies to comments, would be the short that I saw on Samantha Cooker's channel. And that was a man who was talking about how single women need to be out right now because it's cuffing season and football season and women need to hit the sports bars. I'm going to say that that is absolutely true. I'm always a big fan of mixing and mingling. But one of the reasons why I think it's important to be out right now is because it's important to know when and where and what the market is in your particular area. Let me give you an example. Okay, here in Texas, Dallas Cowboys, seriously, it's second to like Jesus. You know what I mean? People love Cowboys. People loved Tom Landry and Jerry Jones. People love Cowboys football. There's a very, very big difference of Cowboys football on half-price Bud Light night than when you go to a microbrewery that caters to the Texas Tech and UT alum on a Saturday afternoon, right? Those are two very different crowds. And only experience will tell you that, right? Right now in the sports bars and clubs, you see a lot of, also in the Houston area, you see like a lot of competition between like waiters and wait staff, because there were waitresses and wait staff that got there really, really early or have been there all year, right, in the baseball season. But now once the Astros hit playoffs, right, and those tickets get more expensive around Minute Maid, that's going to bring in a higher end crowd. That's, tickets that are usually $50 are now going to be $165 to $200, okay, because they're playoff tickets. And now you're just going to be dealing with a higher end crowd. And those ladies and gentlemen who got in early are going to be very poised to make a lot of good money, right? So there's going to be some level of competition. Not saying that doesn't mean that you should not apply, because you certainly should. Poise yourself now, because when they go on holiday vacations, when another sports season that is lucrative comes up, because Texas usually always makes a good showing, listen, be prepared. Don't think that sports culture is related to the black sports culture. Like, it's crazy how there's a big deal been made about the New York Yankee Aaron Judge, who just broke Roger Maris's home run in a season record, and the talk around what his next contract's going to look like. He's probably going to make $500 million. He probably will. And the talk that's going around, but here in Black YouTube, we talk about Ami Adoko, right? So, we're talking about Albert Pujols and his showing at the World Series, the All-Star game, the Home Run Derby, and just how he kind of passed the torch to Juan Soto, and how it was a very emotional moment for a lot of Dominican players. We're looking at Albert Pujols, who came in at a time where, players from the Dominican Republic were getting pennies on the dollar, to now you see him, and all that he's built up and the legacy he's created has made now the highest baseball player in the MLB being a Dominican man, right? And how he was very much a part of that, and how the players from the Dominican Republic were basically honoring him, even though he didn't win the Derby, because they owe so much to him. And it was a very emotional time. And we don't talk about stuff like that in Black YouTube. We talk about Antonio Brown's dysfunction. You know what I mean? So there are important things going on in sports culture. I think about, when Matt McConaughey came back to University of Texas, right? He did not come back to teach acting. He came back to teach business. And one of his biggest Austin business ventures was FC Austin, the football club, the soccer team, the MLS soccer team, which made its playoff in its second year of existence. That's kind of a big deal. Right now I'm reading a book, and I'll make sure to review it for you ladies when I'm done, by the man who is going to succeed Warren Buffett, right? When he finally does, give up his position at Berkshire Hathaway. This is his heir apparent. And this guy was a hockey player for the University of Minnesota. And I think the difference in our culture and other people's culture when it comes to sports is, because several CEOs have been athletes, right? Several CEOs, several high-powered business executives have been athletes. And by the time they turn 15, they realize that they're not going to play, right? Professional ball, right? This guy, he realized at 15, he was not going to play professional hockey, right? But what he did do was he used his popularity as an athlete and with the hockey team to run for student council and to have a leadership position as president of his fraternity. And that in turn helped him get into an Ivy League MBA program, which set him up for life. And he's still reaping rewards from that. He still goes back to that business school every year to teach and to mentor and to basically connect. We're seeing now this name, image, and likeness thing. So I think the company is called Maverick International or something like that. So basically, the men's football, baseball, and women's softball team will be paid $10,000 a year in name, image, and likeness and be affiliates of this Maverick International Corporation, okay? What that means is, and when you look at the board members, it's all high-powered real estate, ranchers, high-powered oil executives who are on this board of directors. So here, these athletes, even if they don't make the Olympics, MLB, or NFL, they're going to be extremely well connected for their future because they've already been invested in by some of Texas's most wealthy and powerful businessmen. And this is what happens in sports. Some people use and leverage that popularity of sports and the camaraderie around sports to further their business agenda. And this happens in sports bars all the time. I remember Chip Gaines, I think is a primary example too here in Texas. Baylor alum. He was actually cut from Baylor's baseball team. And interestingly enough, when he went and started his own business, those same teammates were the people who were helping him get coding and enforcement through the city for his buildings. They were the same people who were his real estate agents and lenders, right? So that baseball network helped him to develop his business. So that's the type of things I'm talking about, ladies. Like, there are high-powered things that happen around sports if you're around the right sport. And I think that's where you ladies are focusing on, like, guys who just sit and drink beer and don't work, or, you're focused on Ime Udoka and all the dysfunction that's around that situation, and you're not realizing how powerful of a network that could possibly be. Like, think about it. Warren Buffett's heir apparent's a hockey player and a runner. Like, and y'all are sitting here thinking that it has to do with Blackistan dysfunction. And I'm telling you, it doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. And I think that there's just going to be a need for a little bit more, as Dee Dee of Pink Chill Divest calls it, cultural competency, right? There's going to be an increased need for cultural competency for us to really know how other people move. So, ladies, just, and to the trolls that come to this channel, okay. Nobody here is lonely. Nobody here is desperate. I've been married for 20 years, and when I look at your content and I'm seeing how old you are and knowing what I know about the decreasing life expectancy of Black men in America, which is probably going to be exacerbated by these tough economic times, you probably never experienced a 21-year marriage. You probably will never experience that. So you're in no position to talk about my relationship status at all. I will also say that on this channel, I encourage total wellness, okay? Not just Black women need to go to the gym, okay? I encourage nutrition. You constantly see me having videos of juicing and meal prep. I also encourage fitness and wellness because I'm always encouraging you ladies to support other YouTubers who are in the fitness space, especially Black women YouTubers who are in the fitness space. And I encourage mental wellness because how many times do I point people to spiritual, faith-based content creators that help you with your spiritual wellness? Because I'm about total wellness overall, right? I don't shift blame. I don't stand back from accountability. If we think about it, a good accountability tool would be a Fitbit or a Fitbit or an Apple Watch, right? That's a piece of accountability. What you think is accountability is just dragging Black women for filth and holding them up for public embarrassment. That's not accountability at all. Okay? That's not. A Fitbit would be accountability, telling you like, hey, you might need to take a couple extra steps, right? That's accountability. So again, ladies, here's how I clap back at the trolls. Number one, you're not going to come over to my channel acting a fool, okay? There are other channels that will facilitate that and who will debate you. I'm not one of them. You will also know on my channel that I support Black-owned business, okay? I support Black-owned business. So what I suggest you do is start a Black-owned business and then go over there and mind it. This is Mocha Mommy, and I'll see you in the next video.